Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Crawley, and I want to share a little bit about myself, and I want to share my story with you this evening. 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with third-stage rectal cancer, and it all started around 2011, the fall of 2011. And I knew something was wrong because I kept feeling really bad. I kept feeling dizzy, lightheaded. I had all kind of symptoms, and I didn't know what it was at the time. And I went to my doctor, and I said, "Doc, something is going on, and I can't really put my finger on it." So we went through, several tests. We tested for everything you can possibly, clogged valves, this, that, and the other, and nothing came back. And at one time made me feel that maybe I was making this all up. But like I said, I would be feeling fainty and nauseated and just different things. So eventually, he said, "Mr. Crawley, have you had your prostate, checked lately?" And at the time, I was in my late 40s. And I said, "No, I didn't." And so we went through a series of, checking my prostate. And he said, "I'm going to send you over to a specialist, and he's going to examine you." So I did that and went into a outpatient. And when I woke up, the doctor said, "Mr. Crawley, I got some bad news for you." He said, "You have cancer, and we really need to start right away with your prognosis and diagnosis and, get this thing going." I was taken by surprise. I had no idea. I had never been sick, never in my life, not hospital-wise. I went to the doctor for different things, but never like this. And so I was very distraught, didn't know what to do. And at the time, so we started off, and I asked him, "Doctor, well, what stage is it, and how did all this happen?" He said, "Well, Mr. Crawley, you're diagnosed right now with third-stage rectal cancer, and, we need to, start, your prognosis right away." And so I started off with getting chemotherapy and radiation, and the cancer was small. It was bigger than a golf ball, but a little smaller than a baseball. And it was very painful, excruciating. I wouldn't want anybody never to go through anything like this. And so I went through 3 or 4 months of chemotherapy, radiation. I had a port in my chest, just different things like that. And I had to get it down, they said, to the size of a fingernail. And we ended up doing that, and eventually I ended up having surgery. And at the time, they gave me 2.5 years to live from 2011 or the beginning of 2012. And so I did the radiation, and I did the chemo, and I did the surgery. And, I was bouncing back, and things were feeling good. I was feeling pretty good about myself. And I was coming up on the 2.5 years of what they said I was expected to live. And eventually, things was going good, and I did real well with that. And shortly coming up on that 2.5 years, I thought I had the flu or a real bad cold, and that lasted for about a week. And so by me already was being diagnosed with third-stage rectal cancer, my resistance was kind of low. So I ended up going into the hospital 2 years later, and I went into the emergency room. And they asked me, "What are you here for?" And I said, "Well, I think I got the flu, and, I think I'm coming down with a real bad cold." And they said, "Well, come on in." And they checked me. And when they checked me, they asked me, "Mr. Crawley, you feeling okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm feeling fine." I said, "Well, why do you ask?" They said, "Because your sugar levels is 875, and you should probably be in a coma." And they said, "Well, you sure you're doing great?" I said, "I'm doing fantastic." But because I had prior cancer, they said, "Well, we're going to keep you, and we're going to, see what's going on." So I stayed in the emergency room for probably about 2 or 3 days, and, they poking on me and prodding on me and all that kind of stuff. And eventually, they come back. They said, "Well, we know that your sugar levels is high, but we think we might have to take a biopsy of you." Now, I'm not a doctor, and I don't play one on TV. But I know if they take a biopsy, that has nothing to do with my sugar levels. Now, let's get this right. And so I'm like, wow, what could be the problem? And eventually, we took the biopsy, and we did this, and we did that. And they came back and said, "Mr. Crawley, you're diagnosed with 4th-stage liver cancer." I was like, wow. I didn't know what to do. I got a family to take care of. At the time, I was a single dad, and, things was really tough for me. And I was just, like I said, I was at my ends with, and anybody that knows that have cancer, you spend all your money on trying to get better. I remember watching a commercial one time. They said, do you choose to buy medication or do you choose to pay for your bills? I never thought I would be in that situation, but I was. And so after I was diagnosed with the 4th-stage liver cancer, I went to see my doctor, and he said, well, I have to be honest with you, sir. He said, by you already was having 3rd-stage rectal cancer, and 2 years later you was diagnosed with 4th-stage liver cancer, the odds is you probably won't make it. He said, so won't you get your business orders your business orders of affairs in order, and call your family and let them know your situation, because to be honest with you, there's probably very little I can do for you. And so, I looked there and we talked, and he said, but there's a specialist I want you to see, and if he can't do anything for you, we're going to try our best to make you comfortable. So I ended up went and seeing this specialist, and make a long story short, this doctor named Jeffrey Brink, he was the liver doctor. I ended up having half my liver taken off, my gallbladder taken off, and they wanted me to do 6 months to a year chemo after the 4th-stage liver surgery. And so I was asking them, I said, well, when I do this, what is my proximity of life? Because that's the number one question when you get cancer. That's the number one question that's going to always come up is what? How long do I have? And so I asked him that. He said, well, I'm going to be honest with you. If I give you the surgery and you take the chemo and radiation, you probably got about 9 months. But if you don't do any of this, you got 3. And I said, okay. So I opted to take the surgery. Even though it's just an extra 9 months, to me it was a lifetime. Because I still want to see my beautiful family. I still want to see my daughter and my sisters and brothers and stuff like that. I still want to be around. I still thought I had something else to give. And I ended up doing the surgery with the intent of doing the chemotherapy and the radiation. And after the surgery, I was sick for about 4 or 5 months. And the doctor was saying, well, are you going to do the chemo? And I had thought about it. I cried. I prayed. I cried and I prayed. I prayed and I cried. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, I'm going to take my chances. I said, I'm going to take my chances, and I'm going to rely on my higher power. And I end up going all natural. I end up going all organic. Now, it wasn't an easy decision, because when I would call back home to Wisconsin and I would tell my brothers or my sisters or even my daughters, I was like, well, what do you guys think about if I don't take the chemo? They was like, oh, no, don't do that. No. So I knew at that time that I had to keep it within myself. So when they would call me and they say, hey, Dad, did you go to chemo today? And I said, yes, I went to chemo today, but I didn't go because I knew how they felt about it. It was a decision that I had to make on my own. And eventually, I ended up talking to my doctor, and he saw how upset I was and how just despondent I was. And he said, Mr. Crawley, I want you to talk to this one particular organization. He said, I want you to reach out to them. And I said, Doc, I only got about 6 months left, 9 months left. What good is it going to do? And he said, well, do you mind if I reach out to him and give him your number? I said, well, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. And he called an organization called Singleton Moms. And they came out to my house and they visited me. And remind you, like I said, I was sick for 4 or 5 months, couldn't get out of bed. And I remember it was Alma and Annie. They came out and they visited me. And we talked, and they told me all the beautiful things that Singleton Mom was all about. And I grant you, during this 6-7 year period of time, I've been a part of other organizations, but none like Singleton Moms. There's other organizations out there that would help you. They'll give you a check to help you pay your rent or your mortgage or your gas bill, but none like Singleton Moms. And so doing this 45-minute session that they had with me, they told me some of the things that they're about. And, they was like, well, we're going to help you with your bills, and, we can help you with your medication and different things like that. And, we can help you with your children and so forth and so on. And I was just taken back because I have never been shown love like this, especially not from an organization. And ladies and gentlemen, all the things that they say they would do, they've done. You're talking about Christmas in July, they've done it. You're talking about Christmas on December 25th, they've done it. You're talking about every month, like clockwork, going to the bare necessities closet. They was giving out 3 and 4 bags of groceries, over $100 value to all the moms and dad. They done it. But let me tell you something that they done more than anything else. They open up their arms and they open up their hearts, and that's something that you can't put a price on. And so I'm grateful for being a part of Singleton Moms. I'm grateful that they took me into their family. Because see, when the doctor first told me about it, he said, I want you to be a part of Singleton Mom. I said, doctor, I don't know if you looked at me yet, but last time I checked, I didn't have no surgery. I'm a guy. He said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He said, it's all going to work itself out. And I was kind of reluctant at first, and I was like, are you sure? He was like, yeah, we can work it out. And they did. Singleton Moms for the last 2 years has been an intricate part of my life, my family. Because see, I look at Singleton Moms like I look at Cheers. Singleton Moms is a place where everybody knows your name. So when I go, so when me and my 5-year-old daughter, Bryce Maria, come up on the Singleton Moms campus, I'm not just, hello, sir. How you doing, Jeff? Hi, is Bryce. This is every time. These people make you feel like family. I mean, like none other. So if you really want to know what Singleton Moms is doing, beside all the things that Jody was speaking to you about, if you want to know where their time and their money and their effort is going, you don't have to look no further. Just look at me. They brought me back to life. This is what Singleton Moms would do for you. So I am a living testimony that Singleton Moms can bring the single moms and the dads from bedridden to being on a stage and can speak to an audience like you. So I am tremendously grateful. And I want to tell all the Singleton Moms, and I want to tell the staff of the Singleton Moms organization. My mom and dad right now is looking down in heaven, and she wants to tell Jody and Carrie and Amma, thank you for saving her son. My brothers and sisters that's back 2,000 miles away in Wisconsin, they want to tell you, Jody, thank you for saving their brother. And my 2 daughters that's sitting over there that's traveled 2,000 miles away to hear their father speak that didn't think he was going to be living again. The Singleton Moms organization, my daughters want to tell you guys, thank you for saving their father. And last but not least, that little girl I call Bryce Maria, she wants to tell you guys, thank you for saving her dad. And out of all of this, I was a single dad, broken, just dealing with cancer. It was just such a bad situation. And at the time, you don't think you'll ever be able to meet someone again. And after about 2 or 3 years, I met a very special young lady. And she understood my situation. And so when you can find someone that can take you when you're at your lowest point, just imagine what you would be when you get up on your feet. And that young lady, I want to say thank you to Robin Dobar that's sitting right over there right now. Some people ask me, they say, well, what is it? What was your success? I told him it's not just one thing. It's not just because I went all organic or all natural. It's not because I'm a very spiritual individual. It's not because I have a lot of faith. It's not one situation, and everything is not for everybody. So let me say that. But it's a village. It's a group of things that comes together that gives you the strength to pull it off. Now, I'm standing here today on the shoulders of a lot of individuals before me that didn't make it. Within the last year and a half, we at Singleton Moms, we have lost several individuals that's not here today. So I'm standing on their shoulders. I'm speaking for them. And eventually, somebody is going to be standing here speaking for me. So I want to let everybody know that this deadly disease called cancer is real. And so about 9 or 8 months ago, I get a knock on my door. And I go to answer it. And when I open up the door, the young man said, hello. I said, how you doing? He said, are you Jeffrey? I said, yes, I am. I said, how can I help you? He said, well, about 8 or 9 months ago, we had a contract for you that we're here to take you away. He said, my name is Cancer. And I said, oh, I remember you. Right, I met you in my bed at the hospital. He said, and I brought some friends of mine with me. And because I understood that the first time you beat cancer 2.5 years ago, he said, but this time I'm going to make sure you don't beat it. I said, well, who did you bring? He said, have you heard of my friend Depression? I said, yeah, I met him. I definitely met him. He said, have you heard of my friend High Blood Pressure? I said, yep, I met him also. He said, have you heard of my friend Diabetes? Yep, kidney problems. I said, yeah, I've heard of all of them. He said, well, your time is up and it's running out. He said, are you ready to go? And I said, well, hold on, wait a minute, hold up. I said, I've heard of all your friends, but have you heard of my friends? Have you heard of Jody Foley? Have you heard of Alma? Have you heard of Kelly? Have you heard of Carrie? Have you heard of all the volunteers and the staff members over at Singleton Mom? Because I got some friends that's much stronger than yours, and today I'm here to stand and tell you I am successfully one of the part of the members of Singleton Moms. My name is Jeffrey Crawley, and I am a Singleton Mom. Thank you.